In a messy room, a man hanged himself behind the door. His name is Du, 51 years old. 5 years ago, he was arrested and put in prison for blackmail and extortion. He was just released a month ago. The scene shows that Du committed suicide. The police officer who is in charge of the case, Joe, thinks it isn't that simple. After all, how could a gangster who just regained his freedom kill himself? While investigating, Joe finds that the case also relates to a murder 14 years ago. As his investigation gets deeper, Joe also put himself in danger without knowing it. Today, we will watch the Korean version movie, White Knight. The story starts with a secret murder 14 years ago. A middle-aged man was stabbed to death with scissors in a closed room of an abandoned ship. The victim's belt was loose. It seemed that he was going to do some sexual-related exercise. The door to the crime scene was locked from the inside. The only exit was a narrow elevator passage. The body was found by a little boy. Boys usually like to come to this broken ship for an adventure. One boy climbed from the narrow passage to the room, then found the body. The victim's name was Kim, a wealthy pawn shop owner. The police did not find any useful clues at the scene of the crime, so they could only start with Kim's social networks. Kim and his wife had a son called Han who was currently in high school. The relationship between the couple was very bad, because Kim also had a mistress outside called Yang. Yang was a single mother, raised her daughter Ju alone in high school. Because Yang did not work, they always lived under poverty. They were all dependent on Kim's occasional money. Some witnesses said that on the day of the incident, they saw Kim walking into Yang's house with a box of cake. Then the police immediately came to Yang's house to inquire about the situation. Yang said nervously that Kim had never been here, but his daughter Ju exposed her mother's lies. Yang had to admit that she remembered it wrong. But suddenly, she died in her own home just in a few days. On the day of the incident, Yang was dizzy because of a flu. According to the scene, the police deduced that she died in an accident. When she was alone at home, she didn't notice the soup in the pot came out of the pot. Then fire extinguished, causing gas to leak. When her daughter Ju went home from school, she found that her mother was already dead. The police also found a big lighter that belonged to Kim. With this evidence, they concluded that Yang was the murderer. The police then quickly closed Kim's case. However, the criminal investigation officer, Dong-soo, felt that something was amiss, because Yang, as an adult woman, could not escape the crime scene from such a narrow passage. Dong-soo boldly guessed that the murderer should be a slim child. And Yang's death seemed to be a murder, not an accident, because there was no sign of soup on the edge of the pot. In addition, Yang had been avoiding eye contact. She seemed to hide some secret. So he reported his discovery to his boss, wanted to continue investigating these two cases. The police chief advised him not to cause himself any trouble. But the stubborn Dong-soo did not want to give up. He brought his son to the scene of the crime. Wanted to let his son try to climb down from that narrow passage. Unfortunately, his son fell down and died. His wife also divorced him. After his son's death, Dong-soo investigated for another 2 years. Since then, he had become like a walking dead body. These two cases were sealed in his heart forever. 14 years later, one day, Joe, who comes from the other police station, finds Dong-soo and suddenly brings up Kim's case. Because Du was Kim's assistant, Joe comes to him, wanting to know the details of Kim's murder. After Kim died, Du and Kim's wife got together. During their cohabitation, Kim's wife has transferred money to Du continuously. Later, the two broke up, but the transfer does not terminate. Joe suspects that Kim's wife has something to do with Du. Maybe she was blackmailed by Du for a long time, because Du knew some dark secret between them. Kim's son, Han, seems to hate Du very much. Since his mother and Du live together, Han has never lived at home. Joe suspects that Du's death may be related to Han and his mother. But Dong-soo refuses to provide assistance. For more than 10 years, he has been blaming himself about his son's death. He is addicted to alcohol every day and suffered from severe diabetes. Now, he has to rely on medicine to live every day. He doesn't want to mention those two cases anymore. Seeing that no useful advice is provided, he then leaves. Next, he comes to the scene of Du's death again, looking for clues. Luckily, he finds a magazine scattered in the corner. A beautiful woman in the magazine is circled by a red pen. The woman's name is Yu. When Joe is staring at the photo, a pair of eyes in the dark are staring at him as well. A week later, Dong-soo calls Joe's office. He finally makes up his mind to find out the truth with him. But Joe's colleague tells him that Joe has been missing for a week. Dong-soo has a bad feeling. He decides to start to question Kim's son, Han. According to the address left by Joe, he comes to Han's bar, and also looking for clues around his residence. However, he was attacked by a woman called Shi-young, but he quickly controls her. After learning that he is a police officer, she then tells him everything. She claims that the attack is a misunderstanding. She thought Dong-soo was a pervert who was following her boss's girlfriend. Her boss is a rich guy called Soon. He is about to marry the beautiful woman in the magazine. Yu is an art teacher. Soon fell in love with her at first sight. In order to confirm her identity, he asked her to investigate Yu's background. It turns out that Yu was adopted and changed her name once. Her original name is Ju. This name shocks him because the daughter of the suspect Yan in the case of Kim was also called Ju. After careful identification search, he confirms that Yu was indeed Ju at the time. With his years of experience, he clearly realizes she may be the key person that links everything. So he decides to investigate Yu's background in depth. After learning that Yu is actually related to a murder case, Shi-young also thinks she isn't that simple. So she comes to her high school to learn more about her childhood. It turns out that Ju and Han were actually classmates. Before the murder, the two were very close. After Han's father Kim died, the classmates assumed that Ju was the daughter of a murderer and began to bully and insult her. But Han had no resentment towards Ju, even though his father was killed. Later, Ju chose to transfer schools and was adopted by a kind family, also changed her name to Yu. Just when Shi-young is about to report it to her boss, she is informed that Soon just had a car accident. It turned out that a few hours ago, the car had a brake failure, causing a side flip after hitting the fence. Soon was trapped in the car, and the car was about to explode. Yu risked her life to save Soon. After saving him, Yu took the initiative to confess. She said her biological mother was a murderer. This is the only secret she hides from him. Soon is moved after hearing this, and completely trusts Yu from now on. He decides to stop investigating Yu and would marry her with full trust. But Shi-young senses that the car accident was very suspicious. She carefully checks the garage surveillance, found that Han disguised as a car washman and tampered with Soon's car. Just when she is about to tell Dong-soo her discovery, Han suddenly appears like a ghost and kidnaps her. It turns out that Han has been secretly monitoring all the people who are close to Yu. After finding Shi-young also disappeared, he realizes that this becomes serious now. He finds Han's mother and begs her to tell him the truth. After learning that someone disappeared again, she couldn't keep silent anymore and tells everything. Her husband, Kim, was a pervert. The mistress she had was not Yang at all. It was Yang's daughter, Ju. That day, Kim took Ju to an abandoned cruise ship. Accidentally, he was run over by his son. Han was shocked and angry by his father's sick behavior. In order to protect his beloved girl, Han stabbed his father with a pair of scissors. After Kim's death, the two children were terrified. Ju first calmed down. She had learned it from a book that the term of service for a case was 15 years. So all they need to do was to stay away from each other for 15 years, and ensure that they would not be caught by the police. She promised that they will be united again in the end. Then the two children locked the door and escaped through a narrow passage. Later, she also killed her mother because she sold her to Kim for money, and set her mother up as the murderer of Kim's death. After Han's mother found her son killed, her husband, she chose to hide the truth. She lied to the police that Han was watching TV with her at home. But unfortunately, Kim's assistant, Du, figured out their secret. Du threatened Han's mother and looted a lot of money from her, until Du committed other crimes and was locked in prison. Who knew that after being released, Du found that Ju changed her name to Yu and planned to marry a rich man. So he started to blackmail Yu alternatively, but this time, it crossed Han's bottom line. The two innocent and kind children were lost on the night of Kim's death. The only thing left inside them are two empty souls. Over the years, the two have been in secret contact with each other. Han helps Yu clearing the way, letting her marry the rich man, and they will be back together after 15 years. But didn't expect Du would interrupt their plan, so Han killed him. After killing Du, he disguised the scene as a suicide, as usual. For Yu, Han could kill anyone in the way. She suspects that the missing police officer Zhou and Shi-young were both already dead. Han's mother is right. After she revealed the truth, the police has found their bodies. Han buried their bodies in Yu's adoptive mother's yard. When her adoptive mother returned from a trip, some flowers in the yard were withered, so she asked the garden company coming to replace the plants. Unexpectedly, digging out two corpses, the police immediately takes action to arrest Han, but Han is already hidden quietly. Dong-soo calculates that the only person who could make Han show up is Yu. Soon gave a lot of money to Yu, opening a luxury clothing store for her. The opening date is the last day of the 15 years after Kim's death. Dong-soo believes Han would definitely appear at the scene, so he takes a group of police to ambush near the ceremony. At the beginning of the ceremony, Dong-soo notices a suspicious person with a mask. He follows him all the way to the warehouse, but is attacked and stabbed in the belly. Fortunately, he is rescued that other police arrives in time. Finally, the police finds him and traps Han on the roof. Han is in a state of complete insanity. He is waving a pair of scissors in his hand, threatening the police not to come any close. Dong-soo finally catches up, trying to convince Han. He says that he regrets not continuing investigating the truth, and ends up getting Han and Yu getting too deep in the dark. But it's too late. Han is already determined to die. He stabs his chest with the scissors and jumps off the roof. He knows that as long as he is dead, Yu will be safe. With a heavy noise, a bloody body smashes the glass roof and falls on the party center. The crowd, who are chatting, suddenly becomes silent. When Dong-soo runs downstairs, he finds that Han is dying with one last breath. Han is surrounded by guests who attends to the celebration, and his only love, Yu. Seeing the pain on Yu's face, the girl next to her asks if she knows this man. Yu quickly hides the pain and sadness in her eyes, answering in a cold and calm voice, "I don't." Then she leaves with the girl beside her, without looking back. Although Dong-soo knows that everything Han did was Yu's instigation, but he has no evidence and could only watch Yu leaves. While Yu walking away, Han is looking at her back and shed his last hair. He might begin to doubt whether the woman he loves has ever loved him. That's today's movie. If you like it, don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.